Ladies and gentlemen, listen. Not everyone who claps for you is in your corner. Not everyone who smiles at you means you well. See, life will elevate you, God will bless you, and when He does, you better be careful who you bring to your table. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it shows up in a suit. Sometimes it laughs with you, walks with you, even prays with you. But its heart is full of envy. And envy turns friends into traitors. It turns company into competition. You feed them, and they plot against you. Not everyone who celebrates you truly supports you. And that's a hard lesson life will teach you, sometimes through pain, sometimes through betrayal. See, applause can feel like love. It can sound like validation. But in truth, it's just noise. And noise fades. What stays is intention. What matters is the heart behind the hands that are clapping. There are people in this world who will cheer for you publicly, but plot against you privately. People who smile when you walk in the room, but grit their teeth every time your name is praised. Why? Because deep down, they don't hate you. They hate themselves for not becoming who you are. Your success becomes a mirror for their failure. Your blessings remind them of their lack. And when someone is not at peace with their own journey, they will resent anyone who looks like progress. That's why you can't get caught up in the crowd. You can't measure your worth by the volume of the applause or the size of the audience. Some people are not clapping because they're proud of you. They're clapping because they want to stay close to your shine. They want to benefit from your favor. They want the proximity, not the purpose. They're not interested in your growth. They're interested in the opportunities your growth brings them. And here's the danger: when you mistake that noise for real love, you let the wrong people in. You start sharing your ideas, your plans, your heart with people who only want access, not connection. They study you. They mimic you. Some even try to replace you. They were never clapping for your soul, only your stage, only your spotlight. That's why discernment is more important than attention. You have to know the difference between those who love you and those who love your potential. There's a difference between people who want to build with you and people who want to ride the elevator with you to the top, only to press the emergency stop button when they feel like they've gone high enough off your effort. Applause is temporary. Loyalty is eternal. And loyalty isn't loud. It's quiet. It shows up when no one's watching. It supports you when you're losing, not just when you're winning. Loyalty stands beside you when the lights are off, when the cameras are gone, when no one's clapping at all. But fake support, that's situational. It's tied to your status, not your soul. And the moment your light dims or your journey gets rocky, those claps turn into silence, or worse, whispers behind your back. See, real supporters hold you down, not because you're successful, but because you're valuable to them as a person. They want to see you win, even if they're not winning. But fake ones, they only want you to succeed if they can benefit. And the moment you outgrow them or outshine them, they switch up. That's why you have to stop feeding everyone who shows up at your table. Some people are only sitting there to study your recipe, not break bread with you. So when you start winning, don't just listen to the applause. Look at the actions. Who shows up when you're struggling? Who defends you when you're not in the room? Who corrects you in love when you're wrong instead of cheering on your downfall? That's how you spot real loyalty. And remember this, people will celebrate what you do as long as it doesn't remind them of what they're not doing. The moment your elevation exposes their stagnation, the applause dies down. So don't get addicted to being celebrated. Get committed to being centered. Keep your circle tight. Keep your ears sharp. And most importantly, keep your heart guarded. Because not all applause is pure. Some of it is poisoned. And if you don't learn to tell the difference, you'll start handing your trust, your dreams, your vision, your blessings to people who only showed up to take, not to build. So when they clap, don't just listen. Watch. Because that applause, it's just noise until it's backed by loyalty. Evil doesn't always come in the form you expect. It doesn't always show up loud and obvious, wearing red with horns. No. Sometimes it comes dressed in kindness. Sometimes it walks in the room wearing your friend's face. Sometimes it prays with you, eats with you, even cries with you. But deep down, it's watching you, not to celebrate you, but to calculate you. See, people think evil is always easy to see, but the most dangerous people aren't the ones who are openly against you. The most dangerous ones are the ones standing next to you, pretending they're with you. They say the right words. They show up when the crowd is watching. But when you're not around, they sow doubt. They gossip. They compete in secret. Evil isn't just malice. Sometimes it's manipulation. Sometimes it's envy in disguise. You ever wonder why some people get uncomfortable when you start doing well? Why they stop calling when things start falling into place for you? It's because they were never clapping out of love. They were clapping because you were still on their level. But the moment you grew, the mask slipped. The smile faded. Their energy changed. That's not coincidence. That's exposure. Evil doesn't just come to destroy you. Sometimes it comes to blend in. It wants access. It wants information. It wants to learn how you think, how you move, where your weaknesses are. And once it knows, it doesn't attack you directly. It waits. It waits for the right moment, the vulnerable moment, the distracted moment. And that's when it strikes. And let me tell you something. Just because someone is close doesn't mean they're safe. Judas wasn't a stranger. He was in the room. He was at the table. He dipped in the same bowl. That's what makes betrayal hurt so much. It never comes from your enemies. It comes from those you trusted with your peace. And that's why discernment is not optional. It's survival. You can't afford to be so focused on being liked that you ignore the signs. You can't be so hungry for support that you accept anyone who offers it. Some people offer help just to earn your trust, just to sit close, just to earn the right to hurt you later. That's not support. That's strategy. It's calculated, it's controlled, and it's dangerous. So what do? You watch patterns, not just promises. You listen to tone, not just words. You observe how they treat you when you have nothing to give. How they react when the spotlight is on you, not them. Evil can't hide forever because no mask fits forever. Sooner or later, the truth leaks out. But you have to be paying attention. See, when you're chosen, when you're blessed, when you carry purpose, you attract light. But you also attract darkness that wants your light. Evil is attracted to anointing. It doesn't always want to destroy you from a distance. Sometimes it wants to get close just to drain you, to steal what you've built, to sabotage what you've sown, not because you wronged them, but because they feel entitled to what you earned. And let me be clear, being good, being kind, being loving does not mean being nabave, forgive, absolutely. But trust, that's earned. Access, that's guarded. Your blessings, they're sacred. And you don't put sacred things in the hands of people with evil intentions. You have to know when someone's spirit doesn't sit right. When the atmosphere shifts, when they enter the room. That's not paranoia, that's protection. Trust your gut, trust your spirit. God didn't give you discernment for decoration. He gave it to you for warfare. Because in this life, you're not just fighting battles in the open, you're fighting silent wars behind the scenes. And many times, those wars are being waged by the ones closest to you. So don't get caught off guard. Evil won't always look like a threat. Sometimes it'll look like your best friend, your biggest fan. But truth reveals itself in time. And when it does, don't argue with it. Don't second guess it. Don't excuse it. Just recognize it and remove it. Because if you let evil stay close, it'll cost you everything. Envy is quiet until you start winning. It's silent while you're struggling. No noise, no resistance, no issue. Because as long as you're on the ground, folks feel comfortable. They feel safe. They feel superior. But the moment you start rising, the moment you start catching light, that's when envy wakes up. It doesn't always show up with words. No, envy speaks with silence. It shows up as quiet rooms that used to be loud with your name. It shows up as friends who suddenly stop calling, people who stop clapping, people who can't look you in the eye anymore, because your progress reminds them of their own pause. Your rise reflects their refusal to grow. And that's something some folks just can't take. Envy doesn't hate you. It hates your movement. It hates the fact that you kept going when they stopped. It hates that you believed in yourself when they didn't. It hates that you turned your pain into purpose while they let theirs become poison. You see, people are fine with you as long as you're not doing better than them, as long as you don't outshine them, as long as you don't challenge the narrative they created in their heads, that they were ahead, that they were stronger, smarter, more talented. But when you pass them, when your work starts speaking louder than their excuses, that's when the energy shifts. And here's the thing, envy often comes from those closest to you, not strangers, not enemies. It comes from the ones you grew up with, the ones you trusted, the ones you prayed with, cried with, maybe even helped, because they were okay with you when you were broken. They were fine when you needed help. But when you started healing, when you started walking like you knew who you were, that's when the love started to fade. Why? Because your growth threatens their comfort. Your elevation makes them uncomfortable with their stagnation. They see your success not as a celebration, but as a comparison. You didn't do anything to them except become who you were meant to be. And still, that was too much. That's why you have to stop expecting applause from every corner. You have to stop needing validation from people who are too insecure to give it. Some people will never support you, not because you're wrong, but because you're right. Not because you failed them, but because you remind them of what they could have been. So don't waste time trying to convince them to celebrate you. Don't shrink to make them comfortable. Don't dim your light to protect their shadow. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to rise. And if your rise causes envy in small minds, so be it. That's not your burden to carry. Envy is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to protect your space, to guard your peace. Because if you let it stay close, envy becomes sabotage. Jealousy becomes a betrayal. It doesn't stay passive. It turns toxic. That's when people start copying you, mocking you, undermining you. Not because you've changed, but because you've become a mirror they can't stand to look into. You've got to be wise. You've got to be alert. And most of all, you've got to keep moving, because the worst thing you can do is stop and beg for support from the same people who are quietly rooting for your failure. No. You thank God and you keep walking. You let your fruit speak. You let your results be louder than their doubt. Because envy may be loud for a moment, but purpose is eternal. And when you stay focused, stay humble, and stay moving, nothing formed against you, jealousy, gossip, hate, betrayal, none of it will prosper. So let them talk, let them watch, let them envy. You weren't built for their approval. You were built for destiny. Just because someone struggled with you doesn't mean they're meant to succeed with you. That's the truth a lot of people don't want to hear. We carry folks out of loyalty, out of history, out of guilt. We think they were there when I had nothing, so I owe it to them when I have something. But that mindset, it'll sink you, because struggle doesn't always build loyalty. It just builds familiarity. And familiarity without growth breeds resentment. Some people were meant to walk with you through a season, not a lifetime. They were placed in your path to help you survive, not to help you soar. But out of emotion, out of attachment, we try to drag them into rooms they're not ready for. We try to force them into blessings they didn't prepare for. And you know what happens when you bring the wrong people into your breakthrough? They mishandle it. They sabotage it. They either mess it up or they turn on you. See, a destiny partner is different from a struggle companion. A struggle companion is someone who was around when everything was falling apart. And yes, maybe they helped you through some tough times. Maybe they were kind. Maybe they listened. Maybe they stuck by you. But that doesn't automatically qualify them for the next level, because what got you through the storm won't always help you walk in the sunshine. Some people are loyal to your brokenness, not your healing. They were comfortable with you when you were down because it didn't threaten them. But a destiny partner, that's someone who grows with you, who celebrates your progress, who pushes you toward purpose, even when it challenges them. They're not in competition with you. They're in alignment with you. They don't just want to survive with you. They want to thrive with you. And they'll hold you accountable to greatness, not pull you back into old versions of yourself. The problem is, many people get stuck because they're too busy carrying folks who were only meant to walk part of the road. You're trying to be loyal to a past that's no longer loyal to your future. You're dragging emotional baggage into spiritual promotion. And God never told you to bring everyone with you. He called you. Not your whole circle, not your comfort zone. You. And you wonder why the blessing feels heavy. why success doesn't feel peaceful, why every step forward is met with drama, tension, resistance. It's because you're trying to bless people who never clapped for you, trying to promote people who never prayed for you. You're elevating people who never even believed in the dream. You're honoring struggle instead of honoring purpose. And let's be clear, gratitude doesn't mean bondage. Just because someone helped you during hard times doesn't mean you owe them your future. You can say thank you and still move on. You can appreciate the role they played without giving them the keys to the next chapter. Because the truth is, some people loved you when you were broken because they felt needed. But when you got strong, independent, focused, suddenly they didn't know how to relate to you anymore. That's not partnership. That's control. And you can't let emotional attachment block your spiritual assignment. You've got to discern who's walking with you out of alignment and who's walking with you out of habit, who's pushing you forward and who's holding you hostage to who you used to be. The people around you will either feed your purpose or fight it. There is no in between. So take inventory. Look at your circle. Who grows when you grow? Who gets quiet when you win? Who celebrates your peace? And who only shows up during your pain? Because when God starts opening doors, you need people who understand the weight of your calling. People who protect your name when you're not in the room. People who tell you the truth, even when it hurts, because they care more about your future than your feelings. You don't owe everyone access just because they knew the old you. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to love them from a distance, because not everyone who struggled with you is built to walk in your destiny. You've been blessed. You've been favored. You've walked through fire and come out refined. But now your blessings require something you might not be comfortable with: boundaries. And I'm going to be straight with you. If you don't set boundaries, your blessings will become your burden. See, blessings are not just gifts, they're responsibilities. And responsibilities need protection. When you start to receive, you attract attention. You attract people. Some come with good intentions, some don't. Some come hungry for hope, others hungry for your resources. But if you don't guard what God has given you, you'll end up feeding the wrong crowd and losing your peace. Boundaries are not walls. They're gates. Gates that protect your garden. Gates that say, you're welcome to come in, but only if you respect this space. Without boundaries, your garden gets trampled. The fruit you've worked hard to grow gets stolen, eaten, or destroyed. And then you wonder why your harvest feels empty. People will come with hands open, but hearts closed. They'll smile and say, I'm happy for you. But secretly, they're waiting for a chance to take, to manipulate, to use your kindness for their own gain. And if you don't learn to say, nah, when necessary, you'll be running on empty, giving away your energy, your time, your money, your vision, and getting nothing back but exhaustion and betrayal. Boundaries protect your peace. They protect your purpose. When you set limits, you say to the world, I value myself. I value my calling. I won't let anyone steal my joy. Boundaries don't make you selfish. They make you wise. They separate the genuine from the fake, the helpers from the takers, the builders from the breakers. And here's the truth. People will test your boundaries. They'll push, they'll plead, they'll try to guilt you into opening doors you should keep closed. But remember, your yes has to be worth your peace. If saying yes steals your rest, your clarity, your focus, then it's a no. Don't be afraid to disappoint people. Don't be afraid to stand firm. You are the steward of your blessings. Think about it. When God blessed Abraham, He didn't tell him to share his blessings with everyone who showed up. No, God gave Abraham boundaries, promises with conditions, protection for his legacy, and that's what you need, a protective fence around your favor. So who are you letting in? Who do you trust with your dreams, your finances, your reputation, your time? These are sacred. These aren't casual conversations. These are investments of your energy and faith. Don't throw those investments to the wolves. Remember, your blessings are not an open buffet. You decide who gets a seat at your table. And if someone isn't respectful, if someone isn't loyal, if someone is draining instead of adding, don't hesitate to close that gate. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your future. And the more you protect your future, the more God will trust you with bigger blessings. So stand firm, set boundaries, protect your blessings. Don't just survive, thrive, and thrive in peace. Listen, lifting people up is a beautiful thing. It's a sign of strength, of generosity, of faith in the future. But let me be clear, not everyone deserves to be lifted by you. Because sometimes when you raise the wrong person, you're not just helping, they're using you, they're climbing over you. And worse, they might be waiting to push you down once they reach the top. There's a saying, be careful who you raise, because some will use you as a ladder to success, then kick it away. And it's true. Your kindness can be taken as weakness. Your generosity can be mistaken for an open door to exploit. Some people don't want to walk beside you. They want to walk over you. That's why wisdom matters. Not every hand extended to you is genuine. Not every person asking for help has pure intentions. Sometimes people see your rise as an opportunity to benefit without giving back. They don't want to grow with you. They don't want to grow at your expense. And let me tell you something. When you lift the wrong person, it's not just them who falls, it's you. Because they drain your energy. They steal your time. They distract you from your path. And in the end, they leave you empty, handed, and emotionally exhausted. So how do you know who to uplift? You pay attention to actions, not just words. You watch how they treat others when there's nothing to gain. You observe how they celebrate other people's victories. Do they encourage or compete? Do they show gratitude or entitlement? The people you uplift should be people who respect your journey as much as their own. People who want to see you succeed, not because it benefits them, but because they genuinely believe in your purpose. People who are willing to work hard, who are willing to grow, who are willing to give back, not just take. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you lifting someone because you want to help or because you want their approval? Are you giving your energy to someone who genuinely deserves it or to someone who's draining your spirit? This is not about selfishness. It's about stewardship. It's about protecting what God has entrusted to you. Your blessings are sacred. Your calling is sacred. And you can't afford to waste your gifts on people who won't cherish them. There's power in lifting others, but there's also wisdom in knowing who to lift. Remember, your influence is not infinite. You only have so much time, so much energy, so much love. Spend it wisely. Don't pour water into a cup with a hole. Don't build up someone who's just going to tear you down later. And don't be afraid to say no. Saying no to the wrong people is saying yes to your destiny. Saying no is protecting your peace. Saying no is honoring the work God has done in you. So be generous, but be discerning. Be loving, but be wise. And always remember, the wrong person elevated at the wrong time can cost you your breakthrough. Lift with your eyes open. Lift with your heart guarded. And lift those who will lift you back. Because your destiny depends on it. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me clear. Trusting God's timing isn't always easy. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because when you're hungry, when you're ready, when you're aching for change, waiting feels like a punishment. It feels like the whole world is moving ahead while you're stuck, watching, wondering if it will ever be your turn. But here's what I want you to understand. God's timing is never late. It's never early. It's always perfect. See, there's a reason you haven't gotten that breakthrough yet. There's a reason the door hasn't opened. It's not because God forgot you. It's not because He's ignoring your prayers. It's because He's preparing you. He's shaping you. He's working behind the scenes in ways you can't see. People around you, they don't understand this process. They don't understand your journey. So they give opinions. They give deadlines. They give pressure. They say things like, "You're taking too long. Maybe this isn't for you. You should give up." But their words don't define your destiny. God does. When you learn to trust God's timing, you start to silence the noise. You stop comparing your season to someone else's. You stop rushing to prove yourself. You stop begging for validation from people who don't see your vision or feel your fire. Because God's timing is about more than just speed. It's about preparation, about alignment, about waiting until everything is in place for your blessing to not only come, but to last. You don't want a quick win that falls apart. You want a breakthrough that's sustainable. You want doors to open that stay open. You want blessings that multiply, not moments that fade. That's why patience is power. Patience is faith in action. It's saying, I don't know when, but I know who. I don't know how, but I know why. I don't see it now, but I trust it's coming. And when that breakthrough comes, when God says, now, it will come with favor. It will come with provision. It will come with people who support you, opportunities that align, and peace that passes understanding. So don't rush, don't wrestle, don't quit. Hold on, hold tight, hold faith, because your story isn't over. Your chapter isn't finished. Your victory is coming. And when it does, you'll look back and realize all that waiting was worth it. Trust God's timing over every opinion, over every doubt, over every delay, because His timing is perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Your blessings are sacred, your journey is unique, and your purpose is greater than the opinions, envy, or distractions that come your way. Never share your blessings with those who don't respect them, don't uplift your vision, or don't celebrate your rise. Protect what God has given you with wisdom, with boundaries, and with fierce determination. Know who walks with you for the long haul and who is just passing through. Be wise about who you lift, because your energy is precious and your destiny depends on it. Above all, trust God's timing, because when He moves in a way that no one can stop and no one can take away. So stand tall, keep moving forward, keep your circle tight, and keep your heart strong. Your breakthrough is on the way. Stay faithful, stay focused, and remember, your blessings are your responsibility. Guard them with your life, because when you do, nothing can steal your peace, nothing can dim your light, and no one can stop your rise. Thank you.